And we're on. Good afternoon. I'm Gina Terusio. With me today is my sidekick and cohort in arms, Alicia Merriman. And with us today in our third installment of Leadership 101 is Jeff Geier. Jeff, how are you, sir?
Oh, I am doing great. I think I finally got over the turkey coma and now getting ready to get, ready for Christmas.
I need to get into my running weight, though, to be able to run to Christmas. I think from the turkey coma comes the extra pounds,
Right.
winter fat, winter layers. There you go, winter layers. I feel a lot better.
Yeah.
So I don't want to talk about my winter layers for many reasons. This today being one of them, in that this is what we've been working towards in Leadership 101. This is where the data and the testing and everything all comes together, right? Where we can actually visualize the data and use it as a business, or show how businesses can use what we've done thus far, right?
Oh, absolutely. In the first two episodes, we talked a lot about the DISC profile in the DISC assessment. And in fact, when we left last time, we agreed that Alicia, although she'd done it years previous, would submit to another assessment, which she did. Come on, Alicia, it's not painful, right? I mean, it takes
not painful. It was quick.
10 minutes maybe to do online and that kind of thing. And then it's, yes, you have the report. And so, yeah, it's really cool. And I agree with almost all of it, and some I don't, and that's awesome. But what do you do with it? It's this tool. And if somebody gives you a tool, or you go buy a tool and you put it in your toolbox and never pull it out, you might as well not have it. It's kind of like, so we're learning knowledge here, we're gaining knowledge here. And if we never implement what we've learned, then all we're doing is head pack, right? And I'll only speak for myself. I don't need any more head pack. I mean, although my kids say I have a George Lopez head, there's just only so much room in there, right? And I don't need stuff in there that doesn't need to be in there. So the whole DISC assessment and profiling then is all about what are you learning and how can you implement it into your business, into your work unit if you're the owner or supervisor. How can you use this tool to better your little corner of the world? And so that's what I want to spend a few minutes just talking about today. And Alicia, with your permission, we'll throw up your report here. And it's one of the things, some people initially, I'll just take a moment here. People say, well, yeah, I'll take that assessment and just give me the report. I don't want to show it to anybody. And if you're in a group of people or a team of people at work or a pod or however you want to, teams of people, there's way more value in the tool if everybody knows how to use it and everybody sees it. And we learn about not only ourselves, but each other. So yeah, sharing it should not be a scary thing, because again, and we talked about it before, this isn't right or wrong. There isn't, good assessments and bad ones. There aren't better people and worse people. The assessment is of your observable behavior. And therefore it isn't good or bad, it just is. Okay, so let's share the screen here real quick. If I punch the right buttons, here we go. And so this is Alicia's report that came out, and we're not in a perfect setting with about an hour or maybe 90 minutes. If I was given the assessment, I would sit down and debrief this assessment with you. When we do it with groups of people, it's a little more difficult because it isn't so personal, but we talk about, overarching generalities, and then get people to share what their reports say so they can learn about themselves and each other. But I want to talk about a couple of places in here. What would you do with this report? How could you, as the supervisor or the manager or the owner of the business, how could you use some of this data and information in this particular case about Alicia to help your business? And the first place I would go to is this page 6 that shows the value of the organization. And again, these are generalized things, okay? So like the second bullet point there, Alicia is a big thinker. Well, Yes, generally speaking, she's a big thinker. There may be days when she's, not quite on her game and she's not going to be a big thinker. So don't pull out the report and beat her over the head with it and go, hey, this thing says you're a big thinker. You need to think big today, right?
She got a lot of head pack that day.
Right, exactly, right. It's just those things. So you would, as the owner or supervisor or leader, would say, okay, I need somebody that thinks big picture. We seem to be stuck in a rut. There has to be, where do we fit organizationally in the bigger organization or in our community or in our church or wherever you're working with this? And so if you had a report on all of the people in your business, you would go to the ones that go, oh, okay, Alicia's a big thinker. I'm going to go see what she has to say, because she generally just has that ability to think that way. Okay. And one of the parts I like best is the next two there: verbalizes her feeling and has a positive sense of humor. So she's going to tell you what she's thinking and what she's feeling. All you have to do is ask her. And again, that's a generalized thing. But if you want to know what's going on and you want it to be an uplifting thing as opposed to a downer thing because of the sense of humor, a positive sense of humor, go talk to Alicia, and she'll also bring you some creative problem solving things. So there's checklists in here. We've gone over this about communicating and all those things. And so let's say I just hired Alicia and we gave her this DISC assessment, and therefore we got this report as part of the hiring process. And so I can come to this section that talks about an ideal work environment based on what Alicia just basically likes to do. Okay, so if you were gonna put her in what would be like sitting on an assembly line and putting parts together, and you just have your headphones in and you just work your shift and you go home. None of that is in this list of the ideal environment for Alicia. So not that she couldn't do that, but long term she wouldn't like it, and therefore her life wouldn't be better, right? So this is a good place, especially on new hire things, or if people are struggling in the business, like, man, I just don't know what's wrong with them. This is one of the places you can go and say, hey, is the environment that we've put them in one that they're going to flourish in? And this can give you an idea of where that would be. And then a couple of other things here, and I wanted to just scroll through this quick. So I'm a supervisor, and I want to know, I want the direct reports, the people that we work with. I want people to be motivated. In fact, if you're a business owner or a business leader and you don't want people to be motivated, then we're going to have to talk about something different. But you want that. So here's a list of key that's based on what Alicia likes and what she wants. What would motivate her? And so if you put her in a team of people that are always bickering and fighting, and there's a lot of drama and things going on, a lot of people wouldn't flourish in that. But because Alicia wants peace and harmony, it's right there in the middle of the list. She wouldn't tolerate it for very long. She would probably just quietly go away. The other one would be a secure future. So when you're talking to Alicia, you want to talk to her about what's coming tomorrow, what's coming next week, what are we planning for next year, and how secure it is, because they want to feel, she wants to feel secure. And then that next one there towards the bottom, a manager who practices participative management. So she wants to be, generally speaking, wants to be hands-on with her supervisor, her manager, her leader, her owner. She doesn't want to be, managed, quote unquote, from afar where I never see you. And in fact, that particular one is causing a lot of issues in today's, kind of this COVID world, because we're all separate. And yes, we get together on Zoom, but it's just not the same, right?
Not the same at all.
It's not the same. So there's a couple of ways. Here's the keys to managing her. So we talked about keys to motivating here. Here are things, keys to managing. Participatory management, we already talked about that. she needs to focus conversations on work activities and less socializing. So, which for a high I is interesting, right? So when I'm at work, I want to be at work, and let's just do our work thing, and we can socialize later. That kind of stuff. What else jump? Yeah, pick one of those, Alicia, that jumps out at you, that says, "Yep, that's what I need."
Oh, you put me on the spot.
Uh-huh.
I do like a rational approach to decision making and analyzing the facts. I like to know everything before I make a decision.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
as her, I don't like the word boss, but as her coworker, I completely agree with the participatory management. She and I both suffer from the socializing thing a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So we both need to focus conversation on work schedule. But it's fascinating, having not done this when we hired Alicia to start with, and now doing it, it's fascinating how much of this is so real. It's so cool.
Yes. And so I'll give you a story here. I'm also a high I, and you can see from Alicia's graphs down here at the bottom that her dominant behavioral style is the I, which is very outgoing and promoting and those kind of things. And one of the things I found, and this was decades ago, and it's on this list, towards the bottom there, help on controlling time and setting priorities. And in my example, I'm the CEO. What do you mean? I don't need, I'm the CEO. Yes. So I know that that's one of my areas that needs to be supported a little bit. So I found somebody whose needs to help other people set priorities and keep track of time and those kind of things. And it makes for good teammates, regardless of the title or the position you have in your company. Again, the whole goal is to create that culture that transforms businesses and lives so that people can win, right?
Wow.
Right.
So yeah, and then, there's areas for improvement. And this is a place where a supervisor or a teammate, you'd sit down together and we'd go, hey, here's a list of maybe some, limitations that you struggle with. Pick 2 or 3 that, Alicia, you might think are hindering your performance. And then we develop a plan to help you get better at it, right? It's that whole idea that we can have constant improvement. And then, so, and obviously we're pushing a lot of information into a short period of time, but there are many places with this DISC profile report that a supervisor can use to help his team, one person at a time. I shouldn't have said his team, their team. Yeah. So not only does Alicia learn things about herself, her teammates can learn about her, and therefore they learn about themselves and how they interact better. And boy, once you can get people understanding themselves and understanding each other, then the communication between them gets so much better. And Gina, you were talking about earlier that you two were kind of the same in terms of the socializing. And I don't know that we showed this before, but we provide this to groups of people also. We call it the wheel, and it plots everybody who takes the assessment on the wheel. And it's a very good visual look at where the strengths are in your team and where the gaps may be, where maybe we needed somebody to analyze data and we don't have somebody that's kind of their natural behavior to do that stuff. And again, just because you two are in this yellow quadrant, which is the high I part there in the lower right-hand side, doesn't mean that you can't analyze data and can't put pro formas together and all those things. It just means, boy, if you had to do that every day, you wouldn't like it. It doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means that's not where you would really flourish, because it's just too much of a struggle. Okay.
So Jeff,
Yeah.
I moved to say something. I want to talk about the business aspect of this for a second, because there have been a couple ta-da light bulb moments for me. First of all,
Okay.
back when we were looking at, we were talking about some of Alicia's needs, right, in her behavior. I think
Mhm.
on the other side of in a business, when I do this assessment with an employee, if I can see that this person in this position that is so crucial to me is lacking or needs more, it helps me refine both my approach, but then also maybe the description of the position as well. Because if my expectations as a boss of that position were one or the other side of this person, maybe if this person is better fit in another spot, or if we're going to keep them in this spot, I need to change some aspects about their job. So I just think that's hugely important. I also think, and this little piece here, this insight wheel is very clear to me. I think this would be, were I to be looking for a succession plan in the business, and we want to continue on with the type of leadership that I have done, or that Alicia has done, she's going to be going on to something else. That would be an interesting succession planning tool right there as well. What do you think?
Absolutely, it can be, yes. There's also, we've never talked about this. There's a process that's around the whole DISC profile to create what's called benchmarks for given positions. We use it mostly in much bigger organizations. A small company wouldn't necessarily, and it's usually when they're looking for senior executive type people. And it's the owners or the boards of directors get very granular in deciding and defining what kind of person they're looking for. Not how tall they are, or what color their hair is, and not whether they're male or female, not whether they went to an Ivy League school or those kind of things, but what kind of person do you need? Do you need an analyzer? Do you need somebody to promote? Do you need somebody to support a thing or coordinate, those kind of things? And we put together what's called a benchmark. And then it's usually the top 2 or sometimes 3 candidates take an assessment that's then reported against that benchmark, and you find the person that you're looking for.
That makes sense.
Fascinating. Fascinating. So we can, based on the expectations of the board or expectations of a group of people that are in charge of hiring, you can narrow down behaviors that are necessary and then further find people based on that. That's, oh my gosh, mind blown.
Yes. And one of that, and very, very openly, which I always am, one of the very expanding results of that process is the board of directors or the hiring committee or the CEO, or sometimes it's the spouses that own this company that's really growing, is for them to stop and actually define what they're looking for, who they're looking for, what kind of skills they need, where are they trying to go with those skills, all of that stuff, to create clarity instead of just waking up every day and going, oh my goodness, there's so much stuff to do, we got to get to work.
Right.
So it's being more intentional to not only understand what your vision and your mission and your values are, but what kind of people do you need to bring into your organization that already have a bend towards, if that's the right way to say it, already understand and agree with what you're trying to accomplish. Yeah. It's that proverbial, don't try to pound the round peg into a square hole.
Right.
Fascinating, Jeff. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Wow.
So individually, right? Individually, we're all different. And in a given situation, we may act differently. But generally speaking, these assessments are spot on the money. And if you can create environments where people can use their natural abilities, and the good news here, we haven't talked about that either, is both of your natural and adapted styles. The way you are naturally is very close to the way you feel you have to be when you're at work. And the closer those are together, the less stressful your work is going to be, because you don't have to become or don't have to act like somebody that you're not to be successful in a position. So yeah, there's all kinds of things here, and we all not everybody is cut out to do every job. Right? Everybody agrees with that.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that every job that you can do, even very successfully, brings fulfillment to you.
Yeah.
Because it does. I'm the same way. I do a lot of accounting and bookkeeping work, and put together budgets and finance things and all that kind of analyzer stuff that's in the upper left-hand corner there. But that's not where my behavioral strengths are. And so I do it. I just don't want to live there.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, I could go on and on and on. I know we don't have all day here. I wanted to show you one other thing, as if there isn't enough already that would be good tools for business owners and leaders to use. We have the ability to create these comparison reports, behavioral comparison report, and it gets used by hiring committees. Some, even if it's a committee of one, they just, I've got these two people and I don't really know which one's going to work out. This is a report that we can provide if the people have already taken a DISC assessment. We can create this comparison report, and it doesn't cost anything. The cost is included. It doesn't cost anything additional. It's included in the cost of the assessments, where you can lay these two people, in this case, you, Gina, and Alicia, side by side. And I won't spend a bunch of time here. I just wanted to show you this. Here's like the checklist for communicating, ways to communicate with each one of these people. And if as the owner or the leader or the supervisor that's going to be hiring these people, if I communicated one way kind of naturally, but it wasn't one of the ways that Gina likes, then maybe hiring Gina wouldn't work, because I'd have to change a lot, those kind of things. That's what you would use it for. Ways not to communicate here on this list. And again, the value to the organization and descriptors and the graphs and the whole thing. So yeah, there is so much information here. It's a very useful tool that really doesn't have a whole lot of investment in terms of dollars in it. But if you use this data, not only for yourself, but as the leader to help your organization, I will stop short of guaranteeing that it'll help. And that's just because I can't guarantee what kind of effort the leader is going to put in, but the data and the science and all that are rock solid. And if you implement some of these things, they will help you and your organization immensely.
I would even think, Jeff, as a job seeker, I will be able to pull from this report of my own behaviors and things that I need.
Mm-hmm.
Keywords, key phrases, jobs that are maybe ones I wouldn't have necessarily looked at before, or jobs with key phrases that are going to fit with me. I mean, there's just so many uses for this.
Yeah, when somebody says, what do you need? What do you work best with? You can look at your report and say, I work best with this. I work best on teams. I work best when people communicate in this way, or, like, what are you, the behavioral questions of what do you excel at? You can come look at the report and say, I work well with people. I negotiate conflicts. There's just so many uses that you can use this for.
Right. Yeah. And I agree with all of that. And there's much more as well. We always, at least in my experience, and certainly now with the Influence Group, we do it when we're using the assessments with groups of people. Each individual gets a printed report and they get the electronic one. And the owners, the boss, the supervisor also has the report too. So even though the company has paid for these assessments, we give the data, the report, to each individual. And again, encourage them, just as you're saying there, Alicia, to use that information to make yourself and things around you better. We all want, to be in a better place than we are, even if the place we're in is really, really good.
Yeah, you can go to your boss and say, I'm not really feeling motivated. Can I change, my job description to X, Y, and Z as along with the rest of the stuff I'm doing? Sure. And that would really help, my motivation and make me feel happier and more successful at this company. I mean, there's just the possibilities.
Yeah. How many times have you either experienced or heard about, usually it comes, sitting around a big family gathering, maybe, well, they probably weren't that big this Thanksgiving, but, or, sitting in a tavern somewhere lamenting, life and work and stuff. And how many times they say, well, my boss just doesn't understand.
Yeah.
Or conversely, the bosses are sitting around going, why won't these employees do what I want them to do? And it's because we're going like this, but we're more worried about ourselves than we're worried about other people. And that's backwards. I'm here to tell you, yes, we have to, toot our own horns at times, but the way to make your surroundings better is to get your focus off yourself and get it onto other people, especially if you're leading an organization. Oh, and that works in business. It works at church. It works at home. It works everywhere. Kind of like that's the way the world was put together. And it's so our whole thing at the Influence Group and my whole thing in my 40 years of experience, I've come to believe without a doubt that if I know myself and I can understand why I do what I do, and I understand what I do and why I do what I do, and have a clear idea of where I'm going and why I'm going there. And now we're talking about professionally in the business. What's the mission and vision and values of the company? What are we trying to accomplish? And very detailed and very focused. And I know myself and I know the people that I'm working with. Again, I'll stop short of guaranteeing success, but boy, you've increased the likelihood of success, however you define that in your business, immensely. It's way better than just going, well, I started my business, I guess we'll go to work tomorrow. To be intentional about it, and especially, and hear my heart on this one, especially if you're a leader or a business owner and your business just isn't quite doing what you thought it was going to do or what you wanted it to do. And I'm here to tell you in this COVID season that's 70, 80, 90% of the businesses. Yeah. And that's the time to, instead of keep pushing forward, to stop, take a breath, reassess my vision. Where am I trying to go? Assess the situation and the environment that we're in, assess myself, assess the people that we have, and reset and go again. The game isn't over. It feels like it some days with this whole COVID thing, and we're getting mandates from the government and the whole thing. And it doesn't even matter what side of the political aisle you're on, whether your guy won or didn't win, and all of that stuff. Tomorrow can be a better day than today, but you have to do it intentionally. And this is one of the big foundational tools we use to help us learn about ourselves and other people.
I feel like we could talk 6 hours on this, Jeff. And I honestly, I'm making light of that because we could talk for 6 hours on this without even trying. I mean, there's so much information here. Tell me how people can get a hold of this. There was one of these screens that had all of your contact information on it, but maybe back in the
that might have been, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
It might have been right here.
All of that information right there is the way you can start this powerful learning experience. I cannot underestimate how important it is and how really empowering and kind of hopeful it really becomes. Don't let it feel like a moment of oh, good, just one more thing for my boss to beat me over the head with. That's not at all what this is. It really, really is important.
It really is. And thank you, Gina. It really, really is important. And back to the head pack thing. If you spend money to do assessments, you get the report and put it in a binder or put it in a drawer and never implement it, then, I would wish that you wouldn't even spend the money. But you invest in this tool to learn about yourself and your people, and then implement the things that you've learned. Things are going to get better almost immediately.
Jeff, I always love talking to you. And now this is just one more reason to get together and talk with you again. This is exciting to me, and I appreciate very much your time. Again, influencepower2lead.com. And it's Jeffrey Geier. And this is Leadership 101. I'm here with my friend Alicia, and we are glad that you have stayed with us. We will look forward to our next installment. Jeff, we'll be back soon. Thank you.
We'll be back. Take care, everybody. Hope you